Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today is a family affair. We are working in the privacy berm. We are currently weeding, but we are getting ready to plant 1,400 big apricot tulips from our friends at Color Blends. It is going to be an absolutely spectacular spring. So that is on the docket for today. We are almost there getting all of the tulips and the spring flowering bulbs into the ground, and this is one of the last big areas that we have to do. So this is the privacy berm that separates our house from the garden center, and so this is what we call the house side because this is what faces the house. The nursery side has all of the perennials and the shrubs in it. This is the area that we are reworking. We have for the past 2 years always put annuals in this space, so whether it's lantanas and salvias, petunias, whatever it may be in the summer, and we are reworking that. So we have removed all of the boxwoods. So if you remember, we had kind of roughly triangle boxwoods in here. We removed those because we're going to rework it and put perfecto double white azaleas. Before we do that, or rather, we're going to work around that fact that they're not in yet, and we're going to get these tulips in the ground because, as we have talked about before, we are in North Carolina, a Zone 8A, and our tulips have to be pre-chilled, meaning we have to give them a false winter before we put them in the ground. Color Blends will pre-chill your tulips for you, and so we took full advantage of that. They need to get in the ground ASAP so that they do not lose that pre-chill factor and can get nice and established in the ground. So that is what we are doing today. So let me show you all of our tools. We'll walk back up here to the John Deere where I have the 1,400 tulips. Now this year I did decide to go ahead and do only a single tulip. Last year I did a blend, and this year we're going with a single color. So as you can see, that is the big apricot. The reason that I decided to switch and not do a blend and to do a single color is because last year, while they were absolutely gorgeous, I want to say it was the Super Collider blend, so it had the reds, the yellows, and the deep purples in it. Those colors from a distance did not show up as well as I had hoped they would, because of course from a distance you need something super, super bright, and the yellows definitely did that. The reds kind of did it. The purples just kind of faded because they're so dark and you're seeing these from a distance. So we switched and we're doing big apricot. Big apricot definitely fits the bill for being bright and bold and cheery, and we're going to see it from a distance, and it is going to be spectacular. Another difference that we're going to do this year versus last year is last year we planted the bulbs individually. So each bulb got its own hole. This year I have changed my mode of operation, and I have been using the Jenny's Edition 9-inch auger. So this gives me a really nice 9-inch hole, and so when we do that 9-inch hole, then I can put multiple bulbs in there. So it gives a big, huge impact. So whenever we can do a mass planting, and mass could be 3, it could be 30, it could be 300. It just depends on your space. So when we do a mass planting in a hole or in a big area of the same thing, it makes a really big impact. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to get 1,400 of these in here. It is, of course, obviously, right here in winter time where the days are about as short as they can possibly be. So we are trying to beat I won't even say the sun, because it's a lovely, cool, misty, cloudy day here in North Carolina, and we need to get these in the ground ASAP. So that is the goal for today. Obviously, we had been infested with weeds. This flower bed really has been neglected, and you can see that it needs some love, but that's all right. We're going to make it happen. So we're going to work together as a team, as a family, and we are going to get these 1,400 bulbs in the ground. The exact mode and method, we'll let you know as we get it done. All right, my friends, so yet again we have changed our mind, because when we were laying out the hose to kind of see the look of having the arch of the Perfectamundos, we just didn't like it. I just don't think that this bed lends itself to having, you know, arches and lines, because this bed does not in any shape, fashion, or form have that formality or that symmetry, just because of its nature. So we're gonna put a pin in that design. I know some of y'all are thinking we're absolutely crazy. Yeah, well, welcome to Creekside. And so we're just going to plant all 1,400 bulbs, just fill up this whole entire area. We're still going to use Perfectamundo whites in here. I just don't know the exact design. So the bulbs have to get in. The bulbs will be done blooming by the end of March, which is great time that we can plant shrubs and perennials in here. So we're just going to wait on the design as far as adding the shrubs, and really kind of sit on that this winter. We know that we're going to do the Perfectamundo double whites in here. I have Firelight Tidbits, and then the Tiny Quickfire. Both of those are panicle hydrangeas that are going to go in here. We're growing those, and so the end of March will be a great time to add those. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to slam 1,400 tulips in this space, and we're just going to enjoy it this spring with all of that big apricot color. So here we go. Alrighty, my friends, we are so excited that we are done. The Christmas lights turned on, so we know that it's past 4:30, because that's when they turn on. So we got all 1,400 of them in there. Jerry is trying to get the leaves, those oak leaves. I tell you, they just keep on giving. So yeah, that's the great thing about when you're planting those spring flowering bulbs. A nice clean slate like this is a sign of a very productive day, because there was, I don't remember how many holes, 200 and almost 250 holes in there. I will say that Jackson was the one responsible for dropping the bulbs in, and we were supposed to put like between like 6 and 7. Some of them had 4, some of them had 8. It's just like whatever. So they are in, and that's all that matters. But just imagine, and they're pretty close to each other. I would say like the center of the hole is probably maybe like a foot apart from each other. And so just imagine 1,400 big apricots in here. It is going to be a spectacular March, because that is when they're going to be blooming. I tend to like my tulips to be a early to a mid bloomer, because when you're choosing your tulips, you can have an early, a mid, or a late bloomer. We like to have early and mid because of being in the South. I want my tulips to be done and out in time for me to put my summer annuals in. So they'll typically bloom in like somewhere in that March time. It'll just depend on the weather. So it could be early March. Typically it'd be like more like mid-March. And so by the 1st of April, they'll be done so that we can pull them out and then plant our annuals here. We'll be putting shrubs in and some perennials with some annuals also in here as well. But yes, tulips for us in North Carolina Zone 8A, that we treat them as annuals because they do not reliably come back year from year from year. Because our winters are not cold enough for a long period of time. Yes, we get cold temperatures. We've had multiple, nights in the 18, in the teens, low 20s, that kind of thing. But like tomorrow's going to be 60 something, and like right now I think it's probably in the upper 50s. So it is, we don't get consistent cold. So that's why tulips do not overwinter from year to year to year from us. We treat them as annuals. As far as what we will do in here, Jerry and I were talking, we're going to come back and mulch this, because probably the camera showed you that there were 10,000 million gazillion weeds in here. And so that is because of lack of mulch, because we were between the summer annuals and this, we didn't mulch it. And so that's why it was just a perfect breeding ground for the weeds to come up. So probably once Christmas is over, we'll go ahead and bring in some Daddy Pete and get this nice and layered down with some of that Daddy Pete soil conditioner. We'll go ahead and trim back the summerific hibiscus, because we have got 3 of those right here. Those are what those sticks are. So we'll go ahead and trim them down. That way we can get everything mulched and look neat and tidy. Obviously I've got some perennials up here that need to be trimmed back. And there are weeds in this top section of the bed. So we'll get all that cleaned up. That way we can mulch the entire bed at one time, which makes Jerry very happy. Especially at the end of a long day when I tell him we're going to mulch the entire bed.
It's all good.
He loves me, and he knows that's what the bed needs. So that's why we're not doing it now. But my friends, we only have one more set of tulips to go, and that is at the Signature Garden. Jerry and Cece, and then myself, we've planted
Thousands.
Yes, thousands. He's going to love it in the spring. He loves color. He's going to love it. But as far as like the Signature Garden itself, we've planted 1,000. We have 1,000 to go. So, but we have 2 more flower beds we've got to get the annuals out of. So we have got, 1,000 left to go, and then we'll be done for this season. So anyway, y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.